Hello guys, and today I finally decided to give you my driving impressions of my car. This is 2017 Volkswagen Jetta GLI. I reviewed it in the past videos. You can check it out on my channel. But today I decided to take a drive in this car and give you actual at the point driving impressions. I can tell you right away, this is a more sporty car. I mentioned that plenty of times before, but the biggest factor, the biggest difference of this compared to my other past vehicles that I had, Infiniti Q40 sedan, and also I had before that I had Nissan Sentra SR 2013 year. Infiniti was 2015, and my very first car was 99 Nissan Maxima SE Limited. Now all cars are different and all the driving dynamics are different, but this has been the most sportiest out of them, out of all four, if I say so. But the difference in driving factor is that this car is more engaging. You feel more driving as a driving car. This is more interesting car. I mean, Infiniti was powerful and interesting, and it had that naturally aspirated engine, 3.7 liters, which was very cool. Also at the time when I was owning the car, compared to my other two vehicles that I had in the past, it was a very interesting and a different car. Now this is something that I wanted to try, also something different, very different compared to, even though the Nissan and Nissan Maxima, Nissan Sentra were front-wheel driven cars. One had a CVT, which was Nissan Sentra, and the other one had automatic, which was Nissan Maxima. They were different, but they were front-wheel drive cars, not as powerful. Maxima was 190, but at the time probably lost a couple of power digits there. I think it would have been 170, 180. Sentra was 130. With the CVT you didn't really feel power there. It was just a light car, so that's what justified it as a also nice car. This car is 210 horsepower. Infiniti was 300, almost 330 horsepower, which is very powerful, but most heaviest out of all four. In terms of what this car is, for what it is, power to weight, it is very well balanced car. I'll go over that when I'll be driving, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so right away, steering, very cool steering wheel, thicker than Infiniti steering wheel, Infiniti Q40 steering wheel that I had in past car. More engaging. When you hold this steering wheel, right away you're gonna feel like this car is interesting, nice to drive, and you feel like you won with the car. And one of the biggest things that I really appreciate about this car is, and I see initially and all the time when I'm driving, is this steering wheel, which is really cool. I love it. And all of you who's gonna own this car or who's gonna get this car, gonna feel right away at home with this thing, in terms of being sporty. Now in terms of the power, let's talk about the power. Let me put the windows up so you can hear me better. Now in terms of the power, this thing is plenty powerful. If any of you think that this 210 horsepower front driven car is a slouch or a slow car, you need to drive this thing, because this is more than meets the eye type of car, if that makes any sense. In terms of what, let me go into detail with this. Suspension is very nice suspension. I mean, when they say German engineering and everything like that, it delivers. It is something that you need to experience. It is very engaging. You feel the turns, you feel the steering, you feel the way how the wheels turn. I mean, I know this is electronic steering and everything like that, and suspension is not top of the line suspension, but believe me, this thing is very fun. And one of the things why it is fun is because of that suspension. Coming back to the power, 210 horsepower, as we all know and as we all heard before, Germans, they always downgrade the power, shall I say. And I think this car makes close to 230 horsepower. And if you go on the APR website, they tested this car and they dyno it, and then they evaluated the amount of the power to be 225. But I feel like this car is even more powerful, because when I put the car in a sport mode here, as the GSG gearbox that I have, when I put it in a sport mode, the shifts are more crisper, car holds the gears better, and it's also throttle response is more sensitive, so it becomes even more engaging than whatever it is when you're in a drive, when you're in a D mode. Okay, now what else? You know, you sit low compared to Infinity. You know, Infinity, when I had that car, you sit high. It's like you in an SUV, and I didn't like that. You know, I hated that, actually. I don't know if that's a strong word for that, but you sit like this. You can't go even lower. I don't know how 6-foot people were in that car. I guess you had to put the seat all the way back so you could like be more comfortable with the bigger, longer legs. But here, you know, you sit low. Visibility is perfect in this car, absolutely perfect. You have a rear view camera. In this year, it was standard. Everything was standard in this car, even Fender audio system. One of the attractiveness of this car when I was trying to get this car was that it included everything already. But coming back to the driving dynamics, so you know, it's something that I love compared to Infinity, because you feel more engaged into this car. So I'm braking right now, and I'm accelerating. You feel how this car wants to go fast, and I absolutely adore and love that. This car is very engaging to drive, and every day when I use this car, I want to come back to this car, drive this car, I want to feel this car. It is not sport supercar type of thing or ultimate sedan, but for what it is, it delivers so very well, guys. You're not gonna believe this. And if you're in a doubt to get this car compared to some other cars, you need to drive this thing to really feel what this car is all about. And knowing how Germans do things, this engine, to be for example, you know, to just state this engine, AE888 code, it's one of the top engines, like I said in the past videos, and it absolutely, you know, loves to rev, and it doesn't sound like a 4-cylinder, which absolutely surprises me. And I didn't even know this. I didn't test drive this car when I was getting this car, and I thought, how is this car gonna compare to my Infinity? How would I like this car? How would I hate this car? And it was hard for me to go into that realm where I didn't know what I was getting into, but at the same time I wanted to try something, and front wheel drive was one of the things that I wanted to try it. I was on a fence before, but then I knew that this car is not just a front wheel drive car, it's a sports front wheel drive car. So I really appreciate that and like that, how it delivers that front wheel driving feel. If that makes sense. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that I'm not trying to advertise this car. I'm not being paid by Volkswagen, and you know, it's just something that I like about this car. There are things that I don't like about this car, and maybe I should make a separate video about this, but there is a build quality of this car. Of course, you're gonna see that you know, strips of plastic or rubber not being properly put in, and you know that, you know, it's just a build quality. The performance and the quality of engine and transmission, that's what's more important to me, and should be to you as well. That's my advice. Why? Because long lasting of this car depends on the reliability of the driving parts. It's my opinion. So what else I can tell you right away? The wind noise in this car is very low. When you're driving on a highway, I drive from New York to PA once a week, so I drive on a highway a lot. And this car, it's so interesting. It's more stiff than Infiniti, but it is less tiring when you're driving from, for example, New York to PA, 2-hour ride, you know, for me, and you don't really feel tired. You know, Infiniti was more jarring, you know, even though it was a softer suspension than this, it was a different suspension, a different setup, and that's how important the suspension setup is, because this car is soaking the imperfections in the road better than Infiniti. And I don't know how Sport drives, Infiniti Sport, G37 Sport, but I think that this car is more engaging and much more comfortable in the long trips than Infiniti was. And I can tell you because I've driven both of these cars. What else can I tell you? I think that also the gauges, I think that they are absolutely perfect in this car. I know that the next Jetta GLI will be all digital, and I think that will be as an option, because I know GTI that's coming out in 2018 is gonna have the option to have a digital dashboard, just like Audi's. You know, this is an Audi Group vehicle. I mean, it is Volkswagen Group vehicle. Audis are under Volkswagen Group, so you get everything that Audi has trickled down to the Volkswagens. So that's normal, I guess, and that's pretty cool. Also, you know, every time you drive this thing, I think it looks also nice. Let me turn around here, and people sometimes notice you, and people sometimes look at you, and I really like that. You know, I really like how this car is not that, you know, famous, and it is not that flashy, but at the same time this car really shows itself and, you know, presents itself as a nice driving vehicle, and I really appreciate that. You know, one of the things that you know, I really see, you know, being a trend right now throughout this you know, community of cars, is that how a car looks. And it's very important, I think, for the owner and the one who drives the car to really feel what the car is for the other people outside. You know, how does it makes you feel compared to other vehicles that somebody else owns? Is your car in some category? How do you see other cars compared to your cars? And as a car guys, you will understand me, and you will always compare that. And I think more important, of course, is how it makes you feel. And I think this car is really interesting. I really like how this car makes me feel. There are a couple of things I have planned for this car. Hopefully I'm gonna go through with them in terms of being a little bit more engaging. Maybe I don't want to do suspension on this car, but because I think the suspension is in my opinion is perfect on this car. Maybe I was planning to put exhaust to give it more sound, because I know this engine can produce even better exhaust note when you give it a little bit more flow. Also maybe an intake. We'll see how it goes. Watch my past video and you'll see what I'm talking about. So this was my impressions of driving in this car. Also, I want to mention sound system in this car. Great, awesome, perfect. And you know, I compare it also once again to Infiniti's Bose system. Here is more clear bass, if that makes sense, than in Infiniti. Infiniti has a more deeper bass and it envelops you. Here you hear it more clearly, you hear different types of bass, and you appreciate, I think, music a little bit better. It's not as dim bass as in Infiniti it was. So this is what I think this system is has good points compared to the Bose system. So okay guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about you know, if you've driven, if you have your own Jettas, regular Jettas or GLIs, and tell me how it makes you feel, and tell me if you know, you would like to have a better experience in a cars than this car. And I know there are much better cars out there than this car, and I know they are more expensive, and I know they are more powerful than this car, and I know how more engaging they are, BMW. But so just to recap, and there are more positive things about this car than negative things. And I really like how this car makes me feel when I'm driving this car, and I think that's the most important thing about this car and any car, in my opinion. So see you next time, guys.